The federal government has warned that the strong Australian dollar will have a negative impact on the budget bottom line. The mid-year economic forecast is set for release next week, and lower tax takings from exporters are expected. Hayden Cooper reports from Canberra.
A strong dollar may be good news for travellers, but it's not so good for treasurers. The push to parity and beyond is eroding the national bottom line.
Companies with less profits are able to pay less taxes. So we'll have an implication for our tax revenue, and what we're doing is sensibly recording that in our mid-year economic forecast.
When the budget was handed down in May, the Australian dollar was close to 85 cents against the greenback. Not anymore. It's a different ballpark for next week's mid-year economic forecast.
Next week's financial outlook needs to be turned into a mini-budget. They've got to start to stop the reckless spending.
In fact, the stronger dollar is not without benefits for government.
It costs us to run embassies, but that becomes cheaper. You know, all the tanks and the fighter planes we buy, suddenly they become cheaper.
But mostly it's bad. Revenue from the mining tax could be diminished, and the Access Economics Director says that is just the start.
Mining tax is an obvious one, but the bigger dollar threat is to company profits. This is the biggest and often the most volatile bit of the entire budget. It's done magnificently well. You know, even through the crisis, it dropped, but it didn't drop nearly as badly as it might have. If there's going to be big damage, that's where it'll be.
The Assistant Treasurer doesn't disagree.
The high dollar has an implication for some of our tax revenue.
What then does it mean for the predicted return to surplus in 2012?
That is under threat.
Some believe it's now looking shaky.
Other things equal, you know, what's happening, the slowness of recovery in taxes and more particularly what's happening with the dollar and how that'll hurt company profits. Yes, that is a threat to the timetable to get the budget back to surplus. The politics of this, though, means that the politicians will act and they will try very hard to get the surplus by then anyway.
The fact of the matter is that the government has lost control of its budget. Its revenue is starting to fall away. They knew this would happen. They're now softening us up for what was always going to happen. The Treasurer of the country needs to start taking some hard decisions.
Hard decisions are looking likely. With the open discussion within the government about the difficult economic circumstances, it's becoming clear that the Treasurer may be considering budget cuts. For consumers, this week's interest rate hike rammed home the prevailing economic climate and reinforced the Reserve Bank's fears of inflation. But the latest monetary statement contains a slight adjustment. The inflation outlook in the December quarter has been pegged back to 2.75%.
I don't think it changes the basic picture. No rate rise ahead of Christmas, but chances are, yes, rate rises next year.
Don't talk to the retailers about interest rates. They see the big banks and especially the Commonwealth as the Grinch.
They've also added to that interest rate rise by lining their pockets as well, and that's going to make it even more difficult. So not only get the Reserve Bank rate, but you also get increase from the banks. That makes it really difficult for an average person to come into the store and just be able to put some Christmas presents under the tree.
In other words, there's more than one nutcracker this Christmas. Hayden Cooper, Lateline.